Alright you guys, this video goes over the graphs of the 6 basic trig functions. You guys are welcome to copy this down, but you don't have to. I basically just took a sheet of paper, folded it into thirds, and traced it, and then drew 3 coordinate planes. Alright, sine. Sine, if you guys remember, repeats itself every 2 pi. From 0 to pi, you got kind of a hump. And then from negative pi to 0, it's pretty much the same thing, but under the axis. Okay? And it should go from 1 to negative 1, but that's alright. Okay, so at its peak, it's at pi over 2, and at its lowest point, it's at negative pi over 2. Okay? Cosine also repeats itself every 2 pi, but cosine crosses the axis at pi over 2 and at pi. I'm sorry, pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. So kind of like that. Okay. Now, the way I avoid getting sine and cosine confused, if you take these graphs and you turn them sideways, sine looks kind of like an S, and cosine looks kind of like a C. That's how I know which one's which. Okay? Alright, tangent. Tangent repeats itself every pi. It has asymptotes at pi over 2 and negative pi over 2, and looks kind of like a lightning bolt. Sorry, my drawing's a little messy. It repeats itself kind of like that. Okay? Alright. I'm now going to draw the other 3 trig functions in a different color. I'm going to use green here. You got cosecant, you've got secant, and you've got cotangent. You know, that kind of made things a little bit difficult for myself. This hump is going to be... I'm going to redo it a little bit because it's a little bit too low. Hopefully it doesn't smear. So, we'll say it only goes to like here. Alright? Okay. So, while that's drawing, I'm actually going to skip to cosine and tangent, and then I'll go back to sine. Cosecant, if you look at the graph of cosine, everywhere where cosine hits the x-axis, secant has an asymptote. Okay? And then, wherever it hits a peak, the graph of secant looks something like this. So over here, you have this, you have that over there. Okay, so the U actually continues on forever up in both directions, but I kind of ran out of space, so just leave it like that. Same thing with sine. Let me see if I can do this. There's an asymptote here, an asymptote here, an asymptote here, and it goes like this. And it just touches the graph there. Okay? So that is cosecant and secant. Cotangent, everywhere where it hits the x-axis, those are the new asymptotes. And it's pretty much just like tangent, only backwards. It looks like this. Oop, my bad. Hold on. Scratch that. It does not go through its own asymptote. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. These are the new asymptotes, so it would go like this. There we go. Okay, so using the new asymptotes, it's just like the graph of tangent, only backwards. Okay, so hopefully this helps you remember the 6 trig functions. And that's all.